Hey everybody, welcome to the Wealth Advisory's Top 10 Stocks for April 2023. As you may have noticed, we have a slightly different setup than usual, and that is because of something else that you may have noticed, which is my co-editor here, Jason Simpkins. This is really exciting for me. It's been over a year since I've been able to share the stage with somebody, and I'm really excited to have Jason here. He and I have known each other for longer than I care to admit. It's over a decade now. Jason was actually one of the first people that introduced me to the newsletter world when I left Morgan Stanley. He was in charge of the oil and gas and also defense investing at the company that I first started at, and sort of gave me my introduction to the newsletter world. And me coming from coming directly from Morgan Stanley, but prior to that, coming from the Department of Defense, we had a lot to talk about since he was a defense investor. And anyway, as you guys already knew from last month's monthly issue, Jason is coming on to help us get some more exposure to defense stocks. We've got a very similar strategy. We look for companies that are involved in long-term trends. We look for companies that pay good dividends and grow those dividends. And basically, we just look for safe, stable investments that are good for a retirement portfolio. So, Jason, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Like you said, we've known each other for a long time. We have very similar philosophies on investing and preserving and multiplying wealth, and what we really look for in stocks and income providers. So there's a lot of overlap, like you mentioned, with defense contractors. It's a lot of steady business, a lot of government business. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, today. Mm-hmm. Pay good dividends.
They do.
Very reliable companies. You look at, and even long-term capital gains. I was looking at one of the stocks. Again, we're going to talk about today. It's been in the portfolio since 2016. I think it's up, over 100% in that time. And a lot of these things might not happen overnight because they're bigger companies, but you give it a few years and all of a sudden you've doubled your money.
Right, definitely. I mean, they're government contractors, and one thing that you can pretty much guarantee is that the government's going to keep getting bigger, and keep spending more money, and these guys get the lion's share of that money. Now that we've gone through an introduction, let's. I'm gonna keep the recap from last month really short because my picks last month were just terrible. You do not have big shoes to fill after last month's performance, I'll tell you that much. We got creamed pretty early on in the month, and then when the regional banking crisis sort of hit, the markets dropped, and the top 10 dropped even further from where it already had been. So it wasn't a great performance last month. You guys know I like to beat the market. We did not do that, but we're back, and we're determined to beat the market this month. And looking at the list of stocks that Jason and I have picked, I think we've got a really good chance of doing it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And also, before we get into it, there's one more thing I want to point out. Usually we go through the first 5 stocks, and then we cut it off for the YouTube viewers, and then we keep the last 5 stocks for our paying subscribers because people are paying for this information. It's only fair, to withhold that for them. We put a link below the description of the YouTube video so that if you want to get the next picks, you can go ahead and sign up. It's a super good deal. Honestly, I mean, last month isn't a great example, but normally you can pay for an entire year's subscription with the gains that you'll get off of one stock in a month. But anyway, this month, since there's 2 of us, we're going to go back and forth. We're each going to pick 5 stocks. We're only going to give the first 4 to the YouTube subscribers. We're going to withhold each of our top 3 for our paying subscribers to the Wealth Advisory. But again, if you want to become a member of the Wealth Advisory, I highly suggest you do. I'm obviously a little bit biased, but it's a great deal. We've had great returns, and we've got like a 20-year track record of helping people beat the market, other than last month. But anyway, no, long term, the Wealth Advisory's portfolio has performed really, really well. It's a great investment, and I highly recommend it. So if you'd like to become a member, there's going to be a link in the description right below the video. Click that. It'll take you to a special offer just for people watching this YouTube video. Now, with all of that being said, let's actually get started, and we're going to get into it, and you're going to have to bear with us because we're going to be passing the screen back and forth, and we're still sort of learning how to do that. So, be patient and forgiving, and we'll get through this as best we can. All right, so that brings me to my first stock for the list this month. This is going to be our number 10 pick for the month, and it is Bank of America. And in case you missed what I just said about regional banks last month, or didn't notice the banks getting hit really hard last month, banks got hit really hard last month. But it really seems that the issues were limited to just a few regional banks, not very many of them, and it seems like the bleeding has been stemmed. And the contagion is not spreading to other banks. But Bank of America took a really big hit. It dropped about 17% in March. And it's one of these too big to fail banks. It's not got the kind of exposure that Silicon Valley Bank had to risky loans and risky startups. These big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Citi, they're not they're not small regional banks. They're really safe. So I think that Bank of America can retake at least part of, if not all of, what it lost last month. So I'm going to make that our first pick for April. All right. And before I forget, the ticker symbol is BAC, Bank of America. All right. Now here's where we pass the board. Pretty cool there.
Nice,
all
well
right.
done.
So Jason, next one's
All
on
right.
you.
So yeah, the company I want to talk about first here, I guess, coming at number 9 is Chewy, which we all know is the online provider of pet products. They send them right to your doorstep. I've used the service in my past.
Me too.
Just to
Love
get
it.
cat food. They got it to me overnight. I need special. Like my cat is very high maintenance, so he appreciates it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit tricky because the CEO did warn. They are a little bit softer on discretionary sales these days because they feel like maybe there's been a drop in discretionary spending, which you could probably understand with just the way things are trending. However, 80% of Chewy's business is in food, consumables, or healthcare products. And that's not stuff that people are going to give up. People are going to keep taking care of their pets. So I don't think you really have to worry too much about any kind of collapse in the business or things dropping down too far, despite any kind of softness that might arise in things like dog toys or whatever. And even that could be momentary. You don't know how long that's going to last or what's really going on there. But that business, that's pretty solid. People are going to take care of their pets. Additionally, in May, this company is going to announce its first move into an international market that has yet to be named. They haven't said it. Obviously, the announcement's coming in May, like I said. But I think that's big, strong news for them that they're expanding now internationally.
Mm-hmm.
They're also automating more of their distribution centers, which is going to increase efficiency and probably help them a lot on the margins in terms of profit going forward. That's a little bit longer term, as well as obviously breaking into an international market. But again, just to put a fine point on it, fourth quarter sales up 13.5% from a year ago, $2.7 billion, and that's already that's not bad. That's strong growth. If going forward, it's not quite that strong, maybe not, but I like it for now. I like it short term. I like it long term. So that's why I've got Chewy, CHWY.
All right.
Chewy.
It's definitely one of my favorite stocks. I also have a pet that's on a special diet, and it's much easier to get the stuff from Chewy than to drive around to like 15 different pet stores looking for
even
it.
a lot of the big name brand stores, whether Petco or whatever, they don't always have these specialty products that you might need for a pet with special needs.
Yep, exactly. And sometimes they have them, but they're not in stock. And
sure.
Chewy, always gets it to
Always
you.
gets it quickly.
I think that's a good one. I like it. I like it. All right. So moving on, you want to pass that back over to me?
Here, let me go ahead and clear that.
I like this. It's kind of like we're playing Pong here, sending it back and forth. So that was our number 9 stock for the month, Chewy. Coming up next is our number 8 stock, my second pick here, which is CF Industries. Now, CF Industries is a fertilizer producer mainly. They make the fertilizers that help our farmers grow the food that we all eat. And we're getting into planting season. It's spring. Farmers are putting down fertilizer on their fields while they put down their seeds. And we're also, we've still got the issue with Russia and Ukraine. Russia was a big fertilizer producer, especially nitrogen-based fertilizers. And nitrogen is the biggest, fertilizer that you want to get on the farm. That's like the most, the biggest percentage of the fertilizer the farmers put down is in nitrogen typically. And CF Industries manufactures nitrogen-based fertilizers. It uses natural gas to create those nitrogen-based fertilizers through it's a long process. It's the Haber-Bosch process of using natural gas to create ammonia. The ammonia basically fixes the nitrogen. I'm sure that I'm not going to get all of the technical details right, so I won't get into those. But basically, natural gas is super cheap. That's one of the biggest input costs for CF Industries. And so I think that that's going to lead to bigger profit margins this quarter, potentially a rally in the stock to retake some of the ground that it lost in March. And again, this is another stock that sold off a bunch last month, but I think can retake some of that ground in April. I think that the selling was pretty unfounded, and it's a solid business. It's part of agriculture. Which is something that just continues to grow as we get more people. We need more food, we need more farms, and CF Industries helps farms be more productive. So my second pick, our number 8 pick this month, is CF Industries, ticker symbol CF. I don't even have to write it.
Nice.
Right? They did it for me. So I'll pass that back over to Jason, and we'll get to his next pick, which is also
that really is the perfect
related, right?
segue, because I think we don't discuss these picks with each other. We made them independently, but we were both into agriculture, and for a lot of the reasons Jason mentioned, we got Bunge, and they produce oil seeds, mostly like soybeans, canola, sunflowers, that kind of things, and those are used in a lot of feedstocks. They're used in fertilizers. They're used in all kinds of things. And what we're looking at is a situation where, like he mentioned, regional conflict, war in Ukraine or whatever. We're getting into a period where you typically get weather impacts. You look at farms, they're always in arable land. Arable land typically is by rivers. What happens in the spring, you get all this ice melt, snow melt, whatever from the groundwater unfreezes, it unpacks, the rivers tend to swell. That can cause flooding, deluges. It can harm harvests or stuff like that, and impact crop prices. Commodity price volatility, all the supply chain disruptions that we've seen, all these things are going to make 2023 kind of similarly tight in terms of crop supply as last year. Last year was a tight crop supply, strong demand, going to continue in 2023. All right. On top of that, on a quick note about Bunge, they just signed a deal with Chevron to produce renewable fuel from canola crops. On March 14th, they're going to make biodiesel out of it because, that's an innovative thing to do. As basically you're an oilseed company, and that sounds so boring to a lot of people, I'm sure. Like, I think if you walked up to people on the street and even asked them what an oilseed was, I don't think they'd go, "Oh, soybeans." Right. I don't think it pops immediately into people's mind about what this company's doing. But now here they are teaming up with Chevron for agricultural renewables. They're going to harvest the winter canola crop from farmers and use to create biodiesel, renewable fuel. That, on top of everything we've seen and kind of discussed up to this point, that's got me high on Bunge going into this month. So this is an easy one for the ticker. This is just BG, Bunge.
Yep. One other thing to note is that one of their main competitors, I don't know if you can really call them a competitor, another company in their industry. I mean, I guess they're technically all competitors, but these two are just both so big that they really, they don't compete with each other as much as they sort of complement each other.
Yeah, sure.
But it's Cargill, and Cargill's also involved in grain trading and oil seeds and stuff like that. And Cargill is officially pulling out of Russia. Finally, it must be the last Western company to do so, but it's finally pulling out of Russia, and that's going to be a big deal because Russia and Ukraine are are basically the breadbasket of Europe.
Of course.
So they produce a lot of wheat, a lot of oil seeds. Yeah. So that should be good for our stock here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Okay. So that is that's our first 4. Jason, you want to pass that back over to me?
Sure thing.
All right.
I'll get that.
And so that's our first 4. No problem. No problem. Well, I'm still figuring out how to do this whole ping pong thing with the I don't even know what to call this, with the key. But so we're through our first 4. So this is where we're going to cut off the YouTube video. But first we'll do a little recap here. And so our number 10 stock. Our first pick, my first pick, is Bank of America, ticker symbol BAC. It's a big bank. It's a good bank. It got sold off a lot last month, and I really think it can come back up. Then coming in at number 9, Mr. Simpkins' first pick.
Chewy
Inc. We love Chewy. We like it long term, and short term we think that it can do some damage this month. So let's see what it can do. Coming in at number 8 is my second pick here, and it's CF Industries. Like I said, a fertilizer producer. It's springtime. It's time to put down fertilizer. And natural gas prices are super low, so that should help their profit margins. So CF Industries, ticker symbol CF. And finally, rounding out our first 4 is Jason's second pick.
Bungie, more agriculture. I like, like going into that spring cleaning season, and like we talked about, supply disruptions, a harsh environment, any type of weather catastrophes, environmental changes. We've seen extreme weather. You see it all the time. You never expect it. It always happens.
Yep, definitely. That's why they call them acts of God, because you don't know what's coming. But yeah, so we've got. I think that's a really good lineup for our first 4. And so this is where we're going to cut it off for you guys on YouTube. Like I said, if you'd like to join us, we would love to have you. There's a link in the description below the video that you can click. It'll take you to a special offer just for people watching this YouTube video. If you don't want to become a member, that's okay. We're not going to hold it against you. We question your judgment maybe a little bit, but we'll continue making these videos for as long as you want to watch them. And all we ask is that you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and smash that bell to make sure that you get notified when we put more stuff up. So again, thank you for watching, and Jason, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Well, yeah, it's good to have you here. And we'll see you guys next month.